What a beautiful morning. Welcome to the Alamo. Thank you for coming this morning. It is our second day of the 180th commemoration of the Battle of the Alamo. And it's very exciting. It's a beautiful morning and glad to have you here. We often call this the cradle of Texas liberty, and that is a little bit of what we'll be demonstrating today in this commemoration of the ride. Today we also honor the spirit of Texans that in many people's eyes was created right here at this spot, and often really in the commemoration of the letter that we celebrate today. I want to first recognize this wonderful group of children we have with us that are from Gregorio Esparza Elementary School. Yay! As y'all know, Gregorio Esparza was a defender of the Alamo and gave his life for Texas independence. They are hosted here today by their principal, Billy Navin. Billy, thank you. This is really what it's all about, isn't it? The next generation and bringing everybody up to the Alamo to learn more about Texas history. I also want to recognize some other important people who are playing a role in our future. That is, of course, Commissioner George P. Bush. We have Mayor Ivy Taylor, and then State Senator representing District 18, Senator Lois Kour. You're going to hear a little bit more from them very soon. Also have our historian with us, Dr. Bruce Winders, and you'll also meet a little bit later Ryan Badger, who is our living historian. This morning we celebrate something that happened very special 180 years ago on February 14th, 1836. It was that day that Alamo Commander William B. Travis wrote the famous Victory or Death letter. What else does February 24th mean in Texas history? Well, 180 years ago, a courier by the name of Albert Martin left the Alamo on his horse in a ride to Washington on the Brazos with a letter pleading for help here at the Alamo, pleading for reinforcements to the people of Texas and the people of the world. Today, as a part of that commemoration, we are recreating that ride. The ride begins here at the Alamo and concludes at Washington on the Brazos, State Historic Site Park, and that will be on March 5th. Dressed in period clothing, riding period saddles, and really living the way this Texian patriot lived 180 years ago, Scott McMahon, who is a director of the La Bahia, is our Albert Martin reenactor. You'll see him in a few minutes. He will follow this route that Travis's famous letter took in 1836. He will go along the roadways from here through Gonzales, San Felipe, and culminating in the delivery of the letter in Washington on the Brazos at Independence Hall. But today not only recognizes the history and the great story of our Alamo history here, we also want to recognize a very, very bright future. As you know, we are celebrating this year an historic partnership with the state and the city of San Antonio. This is so that we can preserve this great historic site for generations to come, for the children and the grandchildren of these kids here from the elementary school. This is a new vision for the Alamo to recreate it as a world-class historic site, and this would not be possible without this partnership with the city and the state. Representing the city of San Antonio in a moment, we're going to hear from Mayor Ivy Taylor. She's been serving our great city since 2014, and we're so glad she's here today. But to start off our celebration, it's my honor to introduce to you someone who's been a great leader and a great inspiration to me here at the Alamo. Commissioner George Prescott Bush is a native Texan. He was born in Houston. As land commissioner, he works to ensure that Texas veterans get the benefits they've earned. He oversees investments that raises billions of dollars for public school education here in Texas. And he manages state lands to produce the oil and gas that is helping to make America energy independent. Commissioner Bush, of course, also watches over the Alamo and preserves historic archives at the General Land Office that date all the way back to the Spanish Empire. You'll see some of those works in the exhibit that's in the Alamo right now, in land grants and things that we also help keep secure at the Land Office. Commissioner Bush has dedicated his life to public service. Many people don't know that he worked as a public school teacher after graduating from Rice University. He also served in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan as an officer in the U.S. Naval Reserve. It's an honor for me to introduce to you today Commissioner George P. Bush.
Thank you all, and welcome to the Alamo. We gather here to remember what it cost to become a Texan, and we gather here to celebrate. We celebrate not just the sacred place we stand on today, but everything it actually stands for. The Alamo is Texas, and Texas is the Alamo. It is everything we believe in as a people: family, faith, and freedom. The belief that our ideals are not a gift, but rather an honor to be won. We are standing on hallowed grounds, sanctified by the blood of men who chose to die free rather than live oppressed. It is our duty to ensure that this place will always honor these heroes who gave their lives so that we all may have a future. Theirs is a story that still inspires men and women from around the world to come and visit the great city of San Antonio to try to understand what happened here, where we stand today. Right here is where all Americans become Texans, united for the cause. Right here is where Texans took a stand for the radical idea that everyone is born with the God-given right to rule their own destiny. That's what really draws folks here. Texas doesn't just have history, we have legend. And right here is where that legend was born, where flawed men were redeemed by their service to a cause greater than themselves. You see, Texas isn't just some random place on a map. It's an idea in the hearts of our people. The idea that we are defined not by race or by creed, but rather defined by what we believe and how we live our lives. The idea that the frontiers of freedom are never closed, that there are always new beginnings for somebody with new ideas and new energy. The idea that people can go as far and as fast as their dreams can take them. These ideas, these principles were born right here. And I want you to know that as far as we've come, we still have a lot further to go. More important than what we do, I would say, is who we are as a people. And as significant as our history is our future. Young Colonel Travis' victory or death letter written during the siege showed the world what it means to be a Texan. Travis' tenacity inspired his men and stirred the nation to action in support of Texas, or rather in support of the men and women here fighting against tyranny. His was a message that continues to inspire because we all learn lessons in honor. We see common men rise to extraordinary circumstances and become heroes. And as we know, it was real and that it was here. Travis' message rings true around the world. It reached a young Phil Collins, a British pop icon, for example, who grew up watching the Defense of the Alamo, produced by Walt Disney back in 1955. Collins learned to do the right thing and go ahead, regardless of the consequences, by the example of the defenders here. Last year, I issued a plea on behalf of the Alamo to raise the necessary funds to make sure that the story is as powerful in the 21st century as it has been since 1836. This year, I bring you results. We've upgraded the Alamo management and reconstituted the Alamo Endowment Board. We joined with the city of San Antonio to develop a joint master plan for the Alamo Historic District and the Alamo Complex. We took a big step forward with the purchase of the 3 buildings that you see behind you, the Crockett, the Woolworth, and the Palace buildings right across the street. And we also worked with the legislature, including Senator Kour, in obtaining the largest allocations for the fund for the Alamo and state history, a portion of which have already been used for immediate structural repairs on the Alamo Shrine itself. The Alamo isn't just part of our past, it's part of our future. It isn't just where we were born as a people, but where we come together. The heroes of the Alamo gave our great state a future of freedom. By working together in their shadow, together we will create a more important piece of history. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to build that brighter future, that better tomorrow, and an even bigger Texas. That is our mission, nothing more, nothing less, nothing else. Remember, we're not just any other state. This is Texas. What happens here matters everywhere. So I thank you all for coming out. May God bless the great state of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for allowing me to be here today. Commissioner Bush, thank you for your efforts in securing money for the Alamo and the bright future that it has. Mayor Ivy, it's great to be with you today and to share this celebration. And to the staff and all of the volunteers at the Alamo, we thank you for the story that you tell every day. My name is Lois Kour. I'm the state senator from Senate District 18. I like to say, as a whole, that is the most historic district in the state of Texas, because I have Goliad and Gonzales, San Felipe de Austin, and Washington on the Brazos, really part of the cradle of Texas history, where the battles and things like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were formed. Today, 180 years later, we gather to honor the writings and the pleas of a young man named Colonel William Barrett Travis. He wrote his most famous letter and sent it today to the delegates, the 59 delegates at Washington on the Brazos. All of Travis's writings are historic, and we are inspired by his letter that he penned today, Victory or Death. I want to call attention to another letter, a less-known letter that he wrote to the delegates at Washington on the Brazos. That's a letter that he penned on March the 3rd, 1836. He sent this to a man named Jesse Grimes, who was a delegate at the convention at Washington on the Brazos. And this is what he said: "Let the convention go on and make a declaration of independence, and we will then understand, and the world will understand, what we are fighting for. If independence is not declared, I shall lay down my arms, and so will the men under my command. But under the flag of independence, we are ready to peril our lives 100 times a day." What is the importance of what Travis was saying there? There were so many delegates at Washington on the Brazos when they heard the pleas of the letter from February the 24th, and they heard the news that they were being besieged at the Alamo, that they wanted to quit the convention at Washington on the Brazos and go to the aid of the Alamo. But yet, Colonel Travis, in all of his bravery, and the men here that gave their lives for Texas, for an ideal of liberty and independence and justice, those delegates stayed at Washington on the Brazos at the urging of Sam Houston to finish out the work, to declare an independence, and also to form a constitution. Because Colonel Travis thought if they had not done that, then they would have just been looked at as a band of rebels. And so we look at today as such a historic day. And yes, Commissioner Bush, we have made Texans of people all over the world for what happened here and at Goliad and Gonzales and San Felipe de Austin and Washington on the Brazos. And I want to thank the Washington on the Brazos State Park Association for funding today's ride, because today's ride is going to commemorate what was done 180 years ago. So this year, let's celebrate bigger than we have in a long time of being a Texan. And I will end by saying this. Part of Travis's letter that he wrote today is one of my favorite parts, and it's his postscript. He writes, "P.S. The Lord is on our side. When the enemy appeared in sight, we had not three bushels of corn. We have since found in deserted houses 80 or 90 bushels and got into the walls 20 or 30 head of beeves." Yes, Colonel Travis, the Lord is on our side. And I pray that God continues to bless the great state of Texas and each and every one of you as we celebrate and embody the spirit of what went on here and throughout Texas 180 years ago. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for being here and offer a special thanks, of course, to Commissioner Bush, to Senator Kour and her husband, Jim, and everyone who helped to make this event possible, and say how pleased I am to see our special guests sitting right over here who are in the 4th grade and I'm sure enjoying being out in the sunshine today. Well, I'm so proud to stand here with you to mark this historic occasion at the Alamo. Today we come together to remember the past, but also to look to the future. We come together to recall the fears and uncertainty which beset Texans as they struggle for independence, but we're also here to celebrate their courage. We remember the courage of those who put the hope of independence before their own fears. And we once again hear the impassioned words that inspired people across Texas to rise up and take action. As Colonel Travis wrote, "I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and everything dear to the American character to come to our aid with all dispatch." These words, which were written by Colonel Travis and carried past enemy lines by Albert Martin, continue to inspire generations to this day as we gather here to be inspired by witnessing true bravery. This year is a remarkable anniversary in Texas history, but also marks a significant moment in the future story of the Alamo. This year, 180 years after the siege of the Alamo, we're now beginning a new chapter in the history of Texas' most beloved historic site, the cradle of Texas liberty. Because of the unity and spirit of cooperation that surrounds this sacred site, we'll soon see a complete historic interpretation of the Alamo and all it represents, from the time of its inception as a humble Spanish mission through the famous battle 180 years ago and beyond. During the next few weeks or so, San Antonians and visitors from across the state, the nation, and the world will remember the events of 1836. The story of what happened here encompasses the siege and the Battle of the Alamo and includes the Battle of San Jacinto, which we celebrate here in San Antonio every year with our Battle of Flowers parade. But due to the fantastic efforts and leadership of people here this morning and of generous citizens like Lou Mormon and Gene Powell, our story neither starts nor stops in 1836. The story of San Antonio is a sweeping saga that includes the first Americans, indigenous people who lived here on the banks of the San Antonio River more than 10,000 years ago. It includes European exploration, Spanish settlement, the independence of Mexico, and our own independence a few years later. It's a story that we are still writing as San Antonio's economy and population grow and diversify. And it's a story that we are excited to tell to the world when we celebrate our city's tricentennial in 2018. The tenacity of all who stood behind the Alamo walls during the siege, who refused to give up, is what's felt here today. Today we honor the remarkable courage that they showed in the face of overwhelming odds, and we honor their sacrifice by being here today to relive that history. So thank you so much for your presence here today as we watch our shared history unfold and as we map our future. Thank you.
Good morning. We're gathered here this morning to witness a recreation of an event that occurred 180 years ago. Just the day before, February 23rd, 1836, General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, the president of Mexico, entered San Antonio de Béjar with 1,500 soldiers, determined to take back the town from the rebels who had captured it in December. Those who remained in town crossed the river and withdrew into the walls of the old mission known as the Alamo. They would need help if they were going to withstand the coming siege and attack. Colonel William Barrett Travis, the commander of the small garrison, had already sent out 2 dispatches requesting aid, and he would send more. However, on February 24th, 1836, he sent out his most famous letter addressed to the people of Texas and all Americans in the world. Travis entrusted this important letter to Captain Albert Martin, a resident of Gonzales who had come to Texas from Rhode Island. Martin was a veteran of October's Come-and-Take-It fight and the December battle for Behar. He agreed to carry the letter eastward and spread the word of the Alamo's plight. Captain Martin returned to the Alamo on March 1st with 32 men of the Gonzales Ranging Company, the only known group known to reach the Alamo. Although Travis's letter is famous, it's also shrouded in mystery. What was so important about the Alamo that it had to be defended? Why did Travis expect others to come to his aid? And if the Alamo is important, why did only 32 men ride to its defense? Given that small number, was the letter really as significant as we believe that it was? Why did the Alamo have to be defended? In reality, the Battle of the Alamo was fought for control of San Antonio to Behar, not just the old mission compound. With more than 2,000 residents, San Antonio was a major population center located on the Texas frontier. It sat aside in a strategic crossroads. It housed a military garrison. It served as a political seat for the region, and it was a commercial center. Texans and Tejanos had captured Behar, and the Mexican government, led by Santa Anna, intended to reclaim it. James Bowie called Behar the Frontier Picket Guard. Travis stated that Behar was the key to Texas from the interior of Mexico, and without a footing here, the enemy could do nothing against the colonies. After the revolution, Santa Anna confirmed their assessments, writing, "Behar was held by the enemy, and it was necessary to open the door to our future operations by taking it." Travis's letter made it clear that this important location, one which blood had been shed to take, was in danger of being lost to the enemy. His words stirred others to action. However, communications relied on couriers on horseback riding over ill-defined paths across the prairie. It took time to get the word out. It took more time to gather local reinforcements. It took even more time to reach Behar. The men at Gonzales, only 70 miles away, had a head start on those who lived further eastward in the colonies. Once Travis's letter arrived at Gonzales, Major Robert M. Williamson acted quickly. He wrote, "I have caused Travis's letter to be forwarded by express, and rest assured that no exertion on my part will be wanting to give the earliest aid practicable to our fellow soldiers in the Alamo. Citizens of Texas, arouse. Save your country and your liberties. All must now act, and act in unison." By March 1st, he could write Travis the encouraging news that tonight we await some 300 reinforcements from Washington, Bastrop, Brazoria, and San Felipe, and no time will be lost in providing you assistance. He added, "P.S. For God's sake, hold out until we can assist you." The problem for the Alamo was that time was running out. And on March 6th, even while reinforcements continued to gather at Gonzales, time ran out. But Travis's letter had served the purpose of turning Texans out to meet Santa Anna. And although the majority of the men answering his call did not reach the Alamo, they still provided an important service for Texas. On March 11th, General Sam Houston arrived at Gonzales shortly ahead of news of the Alamo's fall. The 350 men gathered there ready to march to the relief of the Alamo became the nucleus for Sam Houston's army, which defeated Santa Anna at San Jacinto 6 weeks later. Travis's admonition, "Victory or death," spurred them to action, and they chose victory.
To the people of Texas and all Americans in the world, fellow citizens and compatriots, I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans under General Santa Anna. I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for the last 24 hours and have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion. Otherwise, the garrison are to be put to the sword if the fort is taken. I have answered this demand with a cannon shot, and our flag still proudly waves from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. Then I call on you, in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and of everything dear to the American character, to come to our aid with all dispatch. The enemy is receiving reinforcements daily and will no doubt increase to 3,000 or 4,000 in 4 or 5 days. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death. William Barrett Travis, Lieutenant Colonel Commander. P.S. The Lord is on our side. When the enemy appeared in sight, we had not 3 bushels of corn. We have since found deserted houses, 80 or 90 bushels, and got into the wall 20 or 30 head of beeves. Travis. Martin, this letter has to make it through. Write fast, write hard. Our future and our lives depend on it. Godspeed, man.
Thank you very much for coming today. 180 years ago. And we always ask you to remember the Alamo. Thank you very much.